We have completed a number of videos putting computers into custom cases. But today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to put an ITX motherboard into a commercial case. With a view to create a computer that's ideal for a media or home theatre computer. And this is the case we're going to be using today. This is a remarkably inexpensive case and is comprised of an aluminium perforated frame, which is ideal for computers which do not need active cooling. It is perforated on the top and the sides. So let's open up this case and see what we can do with it. The case can be opened by removing simply 2 screws. And the lid of our case quite easily lifts out. As I said, the case is comprised of aluminium which has been powder coated. Inside the case we can see the detail of the cables pre-wired for the switches. We have 2 USB ports at the front of the unit and the power switch. As you can see from the inside of the case, there are a number of pre-drilled holes. We have the mounting points for the ITX motherboard, and we have VESA mounting points to allow the entire case to be mounted at the back, perhaps, of a monitor. So let's fit this with an ITX motherboard. Now this is a passive ITX motherboard. As you can see, it has a large heatsink and no cooler. So if we mount this into the case, it will fit quite nicely. Now we have an I/O shield which we'll need to put into place. Now the case comes with a number of fitting screws, so we'll just use these to mount our motherboard into the case. There we are, our motherboard is now secured into our case. So with that in place we can start to connect up some of the connectors. That's a USB connector in place. Let's pull the cable out of the way. Now if we consult our motherboard manual just to check to see where our pins will go for this, we can see we have a power switch, a hard disk light and a power LED. So let's do the power switch first of all. Oops, that one. Now we have the LED. Right, so we now have connected the front panel. Now we'll connect the memory to this later. But our next task is look to see where we can actually mount our hard disk for this one. Now this particular motherboard does not actually have a facility to mount an SSD in an M2 slot. Therefore we'll need to use one of the SATA ports to mount a hard disk. Now the case does come with a couple of brackets which we can arrange to plug in our hard disk. So we'll put this to a side for the moment and we will connect our hard disk next. So here we have our hard disk. That should be those lined up. Now with this in place, we should now be able to slot this in on either side. We could mount the hard disk here, or we could mount the hard disk on this side. Now I'm going to mount it on this side because I think I'll want to position a fan along here to either extract air from the inside of the case or to pull air into the case. Now I can use these screws for actually connecting this to the frame, which will fix our hard disk into position. But before we do that, we will connect our cables, I think, to make it easier to connect them. So we'll do the power supply first, which will give us our SATA power. Now, as this is a small case, we want a power supply which is also very small. So I'm going to go for one of the Pico power supplies. One of these. Now that will give us our SATA power. So we'll keep these cables on this side for the moment. And the next task is to connect our SATA power to the outside of the case. Now, at the back of the case, we have a number of holes. There are two small holes to allow you to connect Wi-Fi aerials. There is also what appears to be an external push-out plate where you can actually mount another serial port or possibly a power port. And this one down here is the one I think we will use to put in our power connector. There we go. So now we have our cutout out. We should be able to actually screw in this power connector. I'll just tighten that up by hand for the moment. So there is our power connector. So we can connect our external power brick to this computer. So now that we have the power supply in place and our external power, which we will route around this side, I think. Now we can look to position our hard disk. Now, as I said, I think I'll want to put in a cooling fan on this side of the computer. Something along these lines. Now this one is slightly too big, I'll need a smaller fan, I think. Now, I think a fan of these kind of dimensions is what we'll be looking for. Now I may not use this particular fan, I may substitute a Noctia fan for this, but this could be mounted against here, which would not take up much room, and we can plug this in to the CPU fan port, which is just down here. Wait. Obviously we're going to have to do a bit of cable tidying here. So I need to mount this fan here. Now we have two holes on the outside which line up quite nicely with our fan, like so. So let's arrange our fan. We'll get that screwed into position next. Right, I'll just put one screw in for the moment. Now I think we will do our hard disk drive. Now let's connect our SATA power. We use this one. Now we need a data cable. Now we have a short data cable, this may well do us. Let's try this one for size. And yes, that should do nicely. Right, this cable's folded out of the way. And our final screw. Right, that's our disk securely in place. And we just have to get this connected now into here. Right, that's the SATA cable in place. Now we just put these onto here. Really tight fit for everything. A lot of cable management needed. Right, now we can put the lid on. And that is our lid in place. And we can just secure it with the two screws at the back. And there we have it. our computer is now complete. So we have an ITX motherboard fitted inside this small case. We have patched the USB ports to the front here, so we have 2 USB ports available. We have our power switch wired up, and at the back of the case we have the I/O shield in place and all the ports accessible. And we power the unit with an external brick, powering the Pico power supply inside the case. And inside the case we have a 1TB hard disk drive. Alternatively, you could fit an SSD rather than a hard disk. I just happen to have a hard disk available. So that's this project complete. However, I'm going to do more with this type of case. In the next video, we're going to mount an Odroid H4 Plus within this same case. However, that's it for today. Thank you for watching.